Good evening, friends. I hope you are all doing well. I'm also fine. Today, I'm going to show you how you can deploy a NestJS application into AWS ECS. So, we all know NestJS is a JavaScript framework, and it's very popular nowadays. And you can build a lot of interesting applications using NestJS. So you can build API or you can build a full-fledged applications with NestJS. They support a lot of already supported ORMs like MongoDB and MySQL, all these things. Good. I personally use NestJS in a lot of my projects, and I use NestJS to deploy my APIs. So I have created a NestJS project locally. It's a very simple project. If you run it, it will just show you hello world or something. And it will show you just a simple thing. Use here and start. Then it will show you something like subscribe to my channel. That's it. Okay. So very simple, but I'm going to use it, simple things, so that you can have the knowledge of how to deploy it into AWS, and then you can build your own things there. Great. How you can set up an SJS project locally? You can just check the documentations. They have specified it properly. So you can just follow these two lines. It should be sufficient to set up the NestJS properly. Okay, that's the NestJS setup. And then let's we need, if we wanted to set something on the ECS with Fargate, then we wanted to use the Docker images, right? So this is a container. So we wanted to use Docker images to push into the ECS. So for that purpose, we wanted to store our Docker images into a repository. I'm going to use AWS ECR, Elastic Container Registry, to store my Docker images that I built locally so that that can be used by ECS. So I created a private repository here. So it's empty. And then if I go to the repository, then I click on view push commands. And here you have all the commands to push your Docker image into ECS. So let's try to follow this. I'm going to copy this line first. And then screen. Okay, and then run it. Now, if you get some errors here, that might be because you haven't configured your AWS CLI locally properly. So you need to configure AWS CLI with your IAM access key and secret key. So if you do that, then that's good. Then you can run it and it will show you login successful. So how do you configure your AWS CLI? You can just run AWS configure, and then it will show you how to configure all those things. Press enter, then it will ask you your access key ID, provide it, and then secret key, the region, and the format. That's it. I have already configured it, but for you, you need to provide your access key ID here, secret key ID here. I don't want to change anything. That's why I just press enter. But if you wanted to change it, you can click here, type your access key ID, type your secret key, type the region, type the format, and then press enter. That's it. So that's the step one. And then we go to the step two, build the Docker image here. So I also need to show you the Docker file. The Docker file, it doesn't comes up with the NestJS installation. So I added that. It's very simple to run it. Like you use a public image, Node 21 Alpine. So you can use the from Docker Hub. I have used from AWS ECR public library. And then you change your working directory to /app, and then you copy all package.json file, install it, install the NestJS CLI, and then copy all the files, run npm build, expose the 3000 port. That is the port that my application is going to run. And then you start the application. Very simple. I think 10 or 15 lines of code, and you can just use this. I will provide that in my GitHub repository as well. Okay. So I have built the Docker image with this command, and then I'm going to tag the Docker image. So let's tag it. And then we need to push it to Docker Hub. This is the command to push. So the steps are, I build the Docker image, I tag the Docker image, and then I push the Docker image to ECR. That image will be used by ECS to run the applications, right? So this is the process, and it might take around 2 or 3 minutes based on your internet connection. So have patience, and then come here for, I think, after having a tea or coffee. So I'm going to have some tea, and you can I'll pause the video for 2 minutes. Okay, my Docker image has been pushed to ECR. Let's go to ECR and refresh this screen. And you will see that this is the image that I just pushed here, December 7. Okay, so this is the image. And then let's go to ECS, Elastic Container Service, ECS. We are going to create a cluster, and then we want to use AWS Fargate. So AWS Fargate, it's a serverless solution from AWS. Compared to EC2, the Fargate, it's serverless. That means you don't have to manage any EC2 instances or anything. It runs in a serverless model. So let's try to do this. Click on Create Cluster, and then we're going to give it a name like API. It should be an API server. And then from this list, choose the AWS Fargate serverless. And the rest of the things you can keep as it is. Let's go create. It's created via CloudFormation. Here, you can view it in the CloudFormation, or you can wait here for like 1 or 2 minutes. It should be sufficient to create that cluster. Okay, my cluster creation is completed. So here you can see everything is good. Click on the details. You have services, taxes, infrastructure, metrics, scheduled access tax, all those things. We are only concerned about services and taxes. Other things, it's not really at this moment important. Okay. To run services, like say we wanted to create a service, and then we wanted to use launch type, which is Fargate, and the version is latest. And then what we have to do is like we need to create a tax definitions, or we need to create some like define which image will be used. So for that purpose, we need to go to tax definitions and create a new tax definition, right? So the tax definition is Atik API. This is the tax definition. That is this tax definition family, and then the infrastructure is Fargate, and then operating system is Linux. Fine, CPU 1, memory 3, that should be fine. Can keep it as it is. Container, that's the one. So let's say we give it V1, and then the image repository, we go to the ECR again, click on the image URI, and then paste it here as an image URI. Essential container, yes. And then container port, the container port is actually 3000, right? As we know, we go to here. We are using port 3000. We are exposing port 3000, and also the application is running on port 3000. If you check here, 3000, unless we have specified in the environment variable. We can change it, but at this moment, port 3000 is the port that the container will be running. And then port name, can say 3000 container city port. That's the name. Okay. Then these are configurations. You can keep it as it is. Okay. Environment variables. I'm not going to add anything. Log collections. Not really interested about collecting logs. It's up to you. You can choose it or you cannot. It's completely up to you. At this moment, for our testing, it's not really important to collect logs. Optional. These are optionals. Storage optionals. That's good. Monitoring optional, tag optional. So keep everything optional. You can do further experiments with optional things if you're on time. But for us to make the video shorter, let's create it. So what we did, this is a task definition. That means it defines the CPU size of the Fargate, it defines the memory, and also it defines the image, especially which image will be used when you run this task. So let's go back to our cluster again and click on the create service part, choose the launch type, and then it's a service type, and then choose the task definition that you just recently created, right? And there is only one revision, so keep it as it is. Give it a name. So update API. Desired access one. Turn on availability zone rebalancing. That's good. And then with other things we can as defined, keep as it is. The important thing is load balancing. So this load balancing is required to expose your API externally, right? So here we're going to choose a load balancer, application load balancer. And then this is the container, create a node balancer. Yeah, we want to create a node balancer. So take the ALB, application load balancer. Health check grace period 0, that's fine. Create new listener 80 HTTP protocol, that's good. And then target group, all those things we have defined there. I'll create it. It might take 2 minutes time because it's creating the load balancer, application load balancer. So let's wait for that. Okay, our service has been successfully deployed. This is the message I get. So if I refresh, I see here one service is running. If I go to taxes, I should see one tax is running. Good. Let's go to EC2 to see the load balancer. So it should create a load balancer for us as well. If I go to the left here, load balancers, we should see here. Okay, let's refresh. And this is the DNS name. Let's copy the DNS name and let's run it. Okay, let's see if oh, subscribe to the channel. You see, so it successfully launched it. Maybe for the first time there is some DNS delay, but if I run it again, yeah, very fine. So we can use HTTPS as well. HTTPS. No, that shouldn't be working with HTTPS because we haven't defined the protocol. So we need to use HTTPS as well. This is our business requirements, right? So nowadays, what can we do? Click here, and then we can create and add a new listener. There is the listener, and then what we can do is that we can use to forward to a target group with API, and it should be HTTPS. That's good. And we need to use a SSL certificate, and we can use AWS Certificate Manager. So if we click here, CM Certificate Manager. So let me see, ACM AWS Certificate Manager. Yeah, here it is, Certificate Manager. From the Certificate Manager, we can create the certificate, right? So let's request a certificate. Request a public certificate, and then click next. And then put your DNS name. So I'm going to use a certificate. It's like ecs.attitude.xyz, right? So ecs.attitude.xyz. And the validation method is DNS. Key algorithm is RSA 2048. That's good. Request a certificate. The certificate request is very simple. they will provide you some sort of DNS records, and we just need to add that into our DNS. So I manage with my DNS in Cloudflare, but if you have some other providers, the rule should be very simple. You just copy the CNAME record, go to your DNS manager, add the record here, CNAME, and then here, and copy the value, again, paste it here, not proxy, save it. That's it. You just added the CNAME record. Your certificate will be issued, I think, maybe 1 or 2 minutes maximum. If you refresh, probably it's already been issued. Yeah, you see, it's already succeeded. That means I have successfully created this SSL certificate. Now I can use that certificate. If I refresh here, I should be able to use it. Yeah, here it is. ECS.article.xyz. Let's use that. And then click add. Okay. Now, what we can do is like we can click here and then we can add another record. The record should be CNAME. So we need to point our domain subdomain ECS to that particular AWS CNAME. So to our load balancer, right? So what I was trying to say is that we wanted to point our ECS subdomain to the load balancer. Okay. Now let's try to refresh this. So we have 2 listeners here, right? Okay, let's try to refresh while it's taking some time. We go to certificates, and it's all issued. ECS certificate of XYZ. Refresh one more time. Let's see. Here. I don't know what's going on here, but it seems that like AWS is taking some time to display the listeners. We are seeing 2 rows. That's good. Okay, let's see if we can use this and still access our website. So I copied something wrong. Copy here. Oh, this is ARN. Sorry, this is the one. DNS. This is the one. Okay. Subscribe to the channel. That's good. But now, if I try to access it with HTTPS, there is 2 things. I need to open my HTTPS port in the security tab, and I need to check. Okay, we have HTTP, but not HTTPS. So let's open the HTTPS port. HTTPS. Public IPv4. Okay. Okay, that's good. But it's saying if we open here, certificate details, the certificate is issued for ECS.article.xyz. And that's why you see this is error. But this is not the error about SSL error. SSL is okay, but it's saying that the certificate, there's a certificate, but the certificate is issued for a subdomain. If we access this subdomain, then we should not able to see this error. So if we visit something like ecs.article.xyz, yes, here we see it's showing the proper certificate and the connection is secured, certificate is valid, it's up to I think 1 year and it's auto renewable. That means it will automatically renew. So that's the thing that we wanted to do. We created a NestJS application. We deployed it to, we created Docker image. We pushed the Docker image to ECR. We used an Elastic ECS cluster. And then we deployed the Docker image via the load balancer and using AWS Fargate. Okay. Then we point our subdomain to that load balancer and also added SSL certificate. So far, that's the main part of our tutorial here. I hope this will help you to get started with ECS Fargate and also AWS application load balancer with SSL certificate. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any queries, put your queries into the comment. I will try to reply. Thank you everyone for viewing it. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.